going on, everybody? Devil's Advocate here. I want to make one more quick video about the topic I said that I was not going to cover because it had been beaten to death by other YouTubers, but I'm going to touch on it anyways because I believe that I'm going to touch on a small aspect of it that hasn't been touched before, and this is about SB-145. This is a bill in California, the land of great ideas. SB-145. Look it up. It comes up, and you can read all about it. So the thing about SB-45 that I want to talk about today, SB-45 was put into place because they said the current sex laws in California were not fair to the LGBT community. Because as the law stands now, a person can have sex, a male could have sex with a female as long as it was vaginal and within 10 years. If there was no more than a 10-year disparity between the male and the female, the judge had the discretion as to whether or not that man had to register as a sex offender. Keep in mind, remember that point. As long as it was vaginal sex and within 10 years, the judge had a discretion as to whether or not the male had to register as a sex offender. Okay? SB-45 says that's not fair to the LGBT community. It's not fair. Because the LGBT community, you know, we have sex in all kinds of ways. Right? And anal and oral being part of it. And by the legal standards in most states, that's considered sodomy. But that's not fair to us because that's not fair to us. We need equality, right? So the interesting thing about this bill is that this bill decided to go the wrong direction. So instead of saying, you know, it's kind of archaic, we probably need to update our laws. And it doesn't sound right that even if it's just vaginal sex, that the judge has the discretion as to whether or not that somebody has to register as a sex offender. 24-year-old, 14-year-old, come on now. You know, that's a huge disparity. Instead of saying, maybe we should update those laws to something more reasonable, they said, no, we're just going to include the current protocol, the current set of rules to include oral and anal sex. So now a man can have, a 24-year-old man can have anal sex with a 14-year-old boy, and the judge has the discretion as to whether or not that is, you know, okay, whether not okay, but whether or not that person has to register as a sex offender. So instead of tightening up California's laws to protect the children, they loosened up the laws to make it easier for pedophiles to get away with their pedophile-like tendencies and not be held accountable like they should be. Because the sex registry, the sex offender registry, is what puts people on notice as to who's who we need to be looking out for. So if we got judges in place, they'll be like, yeah, man, you know, you weren't supposed to do that. Slap on the wrist. We're not going to make you. He's right out there doing it again because he's still coasting underneath the radar. He hasn't been put on notice. And I'm telling you, he's come out of the state of California, and California's been doing a handful of stuff recently. And I told you in my last video with that other thing that I covered, you know, kind of rolling back the hands on time, where we're going to end up in sanctions. You know, we're going to have like segregation and stuff. I mean, I understand it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it sounds like, you know, chess pieces are being moved in the state of California, and before we know it, we're going to have policies in place that are going to make it easy for pedophiles to just move to the state of California and do whatever the hell they want to do over there. And they're going to be like, hey, yeah, you might call us pedophiles, but, you know, this is a lifestyle choice for us over here. And, you know, the people And the children we have sex with are completely consenting, so we're not hurting anybody over here. You think that sounds far-fetched? Where we're at now? You think that sounds far-fetched? Better think again. Better think again. There's a handful of things happening in California, the land of bright ideas, that leaves me questioning a whole lot of stuff and got a whole lot of wheels turning in my head. SB-145, you better check it out. California, y'all on some weird shit.